Mukuro had a tattoo on her right hand, if I remember correctly, a representation of Fenrir. In other words, a wolf tattoo. But I saw the right hand of the person who attacked me. And there was no such tattoo.
Conveniently sieht man das auf dem Foto sogar richtig gut, weil sie das Messer behält.
So there's no way the person behind the mask was Mukuro.
Yeah, well, okay. You got me. I guess it wasn't her.
Also kann diese Person nicht.
But that still doesn't prove that it was me. It could have been, you know, someone else, right?
Du wachst irgendwann mal mit so einem blöden Chunchon Mario in deinem Rücken auf, glaube ich.
Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I all have solid alibis for that entire night.
Yeah! We were in the gym tearing you apart, so it couldn't have been any of us.
Oh, okay, sure. It couldn't have been any of you, but what about Kyoko? It totally could have been her. Uh-oh, no snappy comeback. Did I score a bullseye?
If you insist, I don't mind showing you.
Huh? Show me what?
What do you think? I'll show you the one thing that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it wasn't me.
Before anyone could say anything, Kyoko was removing her gloves.
Your hands!
Without thinking, I let out a gasp. It was more than just a little burned skin.
Awful, isn't it? It happened when I was first learning to be a detective. I was inexperienced.
I thought you didn't want anyone to see those scars.
If it means we get another step closer to unmasking the mastermind, it doesn't really bother me.
Kyoko seemed to savor the Kyoko seemed to savor the words as she said them. Then she put her gloves back on.
My scars should suffice as proof. Makoto, did the person who attacked you have scars like mine?
Nope.
No, not at all. I'm positive.
Then this much has been made clear. There can be no doubt that the one who attacked Makoto is the true mastermind.
This is just awful. On top of my secret being revealed, I had to look at those positively grotesque scars of yours.
Jeanette.
Sorry. Did I say that out loud? I do hope I didn't hurt your feelings.
Not at all. You can say whatever you want.
Sure, as long as it means pushing me farther into the corner, right? But I'm not cornered just yet, because if you haven't noticed, the circumstances surrounding Mukuro's death are totally unknown.
That's true. All we know right now is she was killed a good while before this morning.
On the contrary, we don't know anything other than that.
You're not going to tell us she was already dead before we arrived here or something, are you?
In that regard, you have nothing to worry about. I promise you, without a doubt, she died after our little killing game began here.
Then somehow she was killed in secret without any of us knowing.
And after she died, who knows how much time went by before we found her, right? Did the culprit stash her somewhere? She couldn't have been in the garden the whole time, could she?
If she was, she would have been totally decomposed. Just like your brain.
Then she was being stored somewhere?
But to hide a body here,
Wie schön er das einfach
to
überhört.
just store it somewhere?
Ich glaube fast, er war sogar zu blöd, um zu bemerken, dass er gerade voll beleidigt wurde. There's only one place. I can't think of anywhere else the body could have been stored. The
I
biolab.
got it! Mukuro's body was probably kept hidden in the biolab.
Biolab? You mean on the 5th floor?
That's right. It's actually set up for use as a morgue, so it's the perfect place to hide a body. And it'd keep the body preserved at the same time.
Then you're also saying the body was moved from the biolab to the garden.
And I have no doubt that that's exactly what happened.
Oh.
In fact, I have proof.
Die Plane. The proof that shows the body was carried from the biolab to the garden. There's something that made its way from the biolab to the garden. A tarp.
I got it! What makes me so sure the body was carried from the biolab to the garden is the tarp that we found in the garden.
Und dieses Massenmörder, ja.
When I was checking it over again, I noticed something. I noticed that some text had been stamped on one corner of the tarp.
Oh, it says Biolab.
It does.
Holy cow! How'd you notice that tiny little thing?
Well, you know, there are like eyes in my head.
Makoto's nitpicky nature seems to have surfaced with perfect timing.
This proves that the tarp originally came from the biolab. In fact, there's a whole stack of tarps just like it in there.
So when the killer moved the body to the garden, they must have grabbed a tarp to wrap it in. Then they simply left it as it was to protect against the sprinklers, and put the coat on it afterwards.
You made everything sound so amazingly consistent.
That's just a wild guess. Where's your evidence? Prove that the body was wrapped in a tarp and moved.
There is no evidence. I was simply explaining what I think happened. But you seem to be getting pretty worked up about it, wouldn't you say?
Worked up?
Now that the conversation has turned to the topic of the biolab, you must be getting pretty nervous. Because the key to uncovering your secret identity is hidden within that room, isn't it?
You talking about unmasking the mastermind?
You see, the biolab contained an inconsistency. One so major it can't be overlooked.
Ich hab's letztes Mal, glaube ich, extra nicht so offensichtlich gesagt oder darauf hingewiesen, aber als ich das zum ersten Mal gespielt habe, ist mir das aufgefallen, als ich ein bisschen nachgeschaut und überlegt habe. An inconsistency in the biolab. Could you be talking
La
about...
la la, I can't hear you. La 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 la.
Such a child. Oh well, just ignore him.
I need to pull myself together and think. The inconsistency in the biolab, could you be talking about...
Hey, by the way, Makoto, what about that one thing?
What one thing?
What do you think? I'm talking about your family.
What?
Don't tell me you forgot about that video message. So what do you think? Are you sure your family's still okay?
Why are you bringing that up now?
Your mom, your dad, your little sister. What do you think has happened to your family? Are they really as safe as you might have assumed?
Stop talking about that!
Calm down, Makoto. He wants you to get upset.
Yeah, I need to calm down. I can't let him get to me. He's just saying that because he knows we're getting close to the truth of the biolab. So if I want to shut him up, I need to expose the inconsistency and slam him with it. The inconsistency has to be that one area where the numbers just don't match up. Oh nein, nicht das wieder.
Are you sure about this? Are you sure about this? That's impossible! What do you want? Are you sure about this? That's impossible! 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 I'm not listening!
Achso. Los. Schieß! Nein!
What do you want? I'm not listening!
This should prove it. The inconsistency Kyoko's talking about is... the lights!
What are you talking about? What about the lights?
Like I said before, the biolab also acts as a morgue. And as part of that, a giant refrigerator was installed in there. That's where everyone who's died is stored.
And it was set up so that when a slot had a body in it, a blue light would turn on.
In other words, if the blue light is on, that means there's a body in that slot.
But I counted up the number of blue lights that were on, including the one Mukuro was in, and there were only 9.
Okay, mal überlegen.
Why does that matter? You gotta give me the bite-sized version here, man.
9 lights doesn't make sense. The number of lights that should be on is, 10.
I got it! 10 of the lights should have been on. Any other number is incredibly suspicious.
Suspicious? Wow.
Da sagst du was.
That's simple. Just recall who's died here so far, and it should become clear.
That's right. That's the key to solving this mystery. 9. Sayaka died first. Junko was second. Leon was third. Chihiro was 4th. Mondo was 5th. Taka was 6th. Then Hifumi was 7th. Celeste was 8th. Sakura was 9th. And victim number 10 was Mukuro.
So 10 people in all?
That's right. Any other number should make you immediately suspicious. But according to the lights in the biolab, only 9 people were being stored there.
You're saying a dead body just up and disappeared?
Yeah.
I got it! The mastermind destroyed one of the bodies to get rid of evidence.
But if they wanted to do that, they would have destroyed Mukuro's body, since they actually killed her, and yet, her body was left alone.
Then, whose body disappeared?
It may very well be that none of them disappeared.
And if that's true, then why doesn't the body count match?
Including Monokuma's executions, there have apparently been 10 deaths. But there were only 9 bodies. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I'm completely lost. How can the number of victims be less than the number of murders?
The reason there are less bodies than murders, the explanation for more murders than victims, why is that? What would it take for that to make sense? The same person was killed twice.
I got it! What about if the same person was killed twice?
Huh? Killed twice?
Officially, 10 murders have been committed so far, but one of the victims may have been murdered, and then murdered again.
Murdered and murdered again?
If that's the case, there could have been 10 killings, but still only 9 victims, right?
Technically, you're right, I guess. Still, something like that.
Could easily have happened. No, it is what happened.
Sounds like you're already convinced. Then can you tell us who was killed twice?
It was Mukuro, of course. Before she was killed as Mukuro Ikusaba, she was killed as someone else.
And that's why the body had to be stored in the biolab until the moment we found it in the garden.
No, that's crazy talk. She was killed as someone else? Come on! Besides, who could that someone else even have been?
All you have to do is look at those bodily injuries of hers, and that will become obvious.
Nothing's gonna become obvious because Kyoko's totally delusional.
Okay, was jetzt?
Who is this someone else that Mukuro was killed as? Was it Sayaka Maizono? Junko Enoshima? Leon Kuwata? Chihiro Fujisaki? Mondo Owada? Kiyotaka Ishimaru? Hifumi Yamada? Celestia Lu... whatever? Or maybe... Sakura Ogami?
I don't...
No. There's no way anyone was murdered twice!
Mukuro died from the wounds she had all over her body. Wasn't there someone else who suffered the same sort of injury?
Who is this someone else? Was it
Junko Enoshima? Leon Kuwata?
Chihiro Mondo? Kiyotaki Fumi?
Celestia Lu?
Or maybe...
No. There's no way anyone was...
No, that's wrong.
Mono-chan.
Junko, wasn't her fatal injury pretty similar to Mukuro's?
What do you mean?
Well, remember what happened to her? She was impaled by a bunch of spears, all over her body.
And Mukuro died from a number of wounds across her body. When you compare that to the stab wounds Junko suffered,
And the similarities match?
Yes, and those are the only fatal injuries that match up. That explains why those two bodies are actually one and the same.
so let me see if I have this straight. Junko, or someone going by that name, was stabbed to death with multiple spears. Then her body was kept in the biolab for however long before being dragged out again. Only this time, it was presented as the corpse of one Mukuro Ikusaba.
It all matches up, right? Those wounds Junko suffered could easily be these same injuries.
It's really true? Mukuro and Junko are the same person? Wait, so then... what does it all mean?
Ja, dann explodiert einfach sein ganzer Scheißkopf und überall ist mega das Gehirn gesplattert an den Wänden, weil einfach nicht mehr darauf klarkommt.
It means that there haven't been 10 victims, but 9.
Würde mich nicht überraschen.
Which also means that among the people we thought were dead, one is still alive.
And that's the true identity of the mastermind?
Who is it? Who's behind all this?
We already know the answer to that. It's Mukuro. She's still alive. She took Junko's body and made it look like she was the one who died. So Mukuro is still alive. She's gotta be. Total silence? Then I must be right. I'm right, aren't I?
Mukuro alive? The one that's still alive is Mukuro. But can we really believe that? No, there's no way. There's no way Mukuro Ikusaba is still alive. Oh. Was kommt jetzt? Das Profil?
The body we found in the garden. It wasn't Mukuro.
Then she's still alive?
That's right. She made it look like Junko's body was her.
Ja, und ich bin auch
the
überrascht, dass
mastermind's true
Hiro
identity
noch
is
lebt.
Mukuro.
What do you say, Monokuma? Do you give up?
For that to be true, then that couldn't have been her body we found in the garden. Is that really possible?
The body we
Ich
found
schätze es mal.
Wasn't Mukuro. Then she's still... That's right.
So the mastermind's true identity
Nee.
is Mukuro.
Shoot!
Oh, Moment.
The body...
War der echt zu blöd dafür?
It wasn't Mukuro.
Then she's still alive?
Ich glaube, ich bin gerade echt zu blöd dafür. Ich weiß nicht, was sie wollen.
Mastermind's true identity is
Keine Ahnung.
Mukuro.
Wer weiß es?
Shoot!
The body we found in the garden.
It wasn't. Then she's still...
That's right. She made it look like so the
Ach, Moment.
mastermind's true
Wahrscheinlich muss
identity
ich das
is...
bei It Was Mukuro anzeigen.
The body we...
It wasn't Mukuro.
Okay, ja. Ich dachte wegen Tattoo. Das Tattoo steht also im Profil drin. Okay.
No, the body we found in the garden was Mukuro. That's one thing we can be sure of.
Ich dachte auch, dass es ihr Profil sein muss, wegen... ja, vor allem auch wegen dem Tattoo. Aber deswegen dachte ich könnte es dann auch bei The Mastermind des Mukuro ihr entgegenwerfen. Aber offenbar muss es wirklich das mit dem Garn sein.
The body's appearance and measurements are consistent with her
Oh ja, und das
records.
auch.
Right, Kyoko?
She was 5 foot 6 inches tall and weighed 97 pounds. Her vitals were 31, 2132. Everything in her profile is consistent with that corpse.
And then there's the matter of the Fenrir
Genau.
tattoo. So there's no question it's her.
Wir hatten beide recht.
But if Mukuro's not the mastermind, then who's actually still alive?
Someone has made it look like they died, but they're actually still alive. There's only one person it could be. Oh, shit. Well, I mean, I don't really have to make this
Here's my answer.
break this.
Junko is still alive. It's the only possibility.
Are you sure about that?
Huh?
I admit, since Mukuro is undoubtedly dead, Junko does seem to be the only other explanation. But we saw her get impaled. She died right before our very eyes. If Junko were still alive, the death we saw would had to have been some kind of charade. But you yourself confirmed she was dead, did you not?
Now that you mention it. I gently placed my hand on Junko's lifeless body. I touched her wrist to check for a pulse like they do in movies and stuff, but she really is dead. There wasn't anything else to say. She was gone. I did check, absolutely, and I can say for sure.
She was dead. There's no question. Junko was dead.
So, the idea that she's still alive.
It must be wrong.
Then you're withdrawing your previous statement?
I know you gave it your best shot, but too bad. I guess your conclusion was a dud. Too bad, too bad.
This case hasn't been decided just yet.
Oh?
You haven't given up already, have you, Makoto?
Huh?
No, of course not. There's no way I'd give up that easy.
That's all well and good, but how do you intend to solve the problem standing in your way? Junko absolutely died. Mukuro absolutely died.
Then both of them are dead, right? There can't be any kind of survivor story.
I think we need to look at this from the opposite direction.
Huh? The opposite direction?
Let's assume Junko is still alive. If so, how could she have survived?
How could Junko have survived? I checked her. She was dead, I'm sure of it. But still, if she were alive somehow, could it be that Junko is not the one that died? It wasn't Junko, but someone else entirely? Maybe she used some sort of trick. Oh, was jetzt? Was? Red? Ey, ich hab doch den... Ich weiß doch, was ich schreiben wollte. Ich habe nur daneben
I refuse to give up yet.
Das war nur, weil die zwei direkt übereinander lagen. Oh. Oh. Nein, ich habe nichts gesagt. Doch, bitte gesagt.
Now I understand. That's it. What if she switched places with someone else?
Switched places?
That's right. Before the spears could kill her, she got someone to take her place. Specifically, Mukuro Ikusaba.
Then that would make it Mukuro's corpse that showed up later.
Which is why the body's height and weight and everything match Mukuro's profile, right?
I don't know anything about this switching places thing, but... That had to be Junko who got stabbed to death, right?
Yeah, you're saying they switched? When could they even have done that?
Momentane Teleportation. Oder wie das heißt.
Right when she was about to die? Like she used some kind of ninja replacement technique?
Good point. There's just no way they could have switched like that. So maybe the whole idea is wrong.
There has to be some way. I need to figure out how to explain how they could have switched.
I got it! The two of them may have switched places from the very beginning.
What? From the beginning?
Yes, from the moment we first met. If that's when they switched, then they wouldn't have had to switch at the moment of death, right? After all, the one we saw at that point would have already been Mukuro.
Hold on. So, you're saying the Junko we first met was actually Mukuro all along?
Just did.
We'd already met her?
I had like a normal conversation with her.
When we first met, none of us knew who anyone else was. So Mukuro could have simply told us her name was Junko, and we never would have known the difference. That would easily allow the two of them to switch places from the very beginning.
Wait, but Mukuro had a tattoo on the back of her hand, right? Junko never had any tattoo like that, did she?
She could have hidden it with foundation or something like that. If she did, it likely melted away in the explosion, exposing the tattoo after the body was extinguished. Plus, there were the fake nails found on the hands of Mukuro's body. They were the same fake red nails she was wearing when we all met for the first time.
But if she really did use foundation...
Correct. Even if there was no tattoo on her hand, I couldn't say for certain it wasn't Mukuro. So I'm glad nobody noticed that glaring hole when we were trying to figure out who attacked Makoto. But too bad for you, Monokuma. You can't deny it anymore.
Wait, so this whole thing was a setup from the very beginning?
If that's true, it was quite an elaborate plan to be sure, making it look like Mukuro was Junko.
The reason such an elaborate plan was possible is because the two of them were working together.
So Mukuro, the ultimate despair, teamed up with someone like her. In other words, it would be fair to say that Junko herself was also the ultimate despair.
What's wrong? Lost the will to fight back?
I think he's just afraid.
Afraid? What's that mean, afraid? Fear is only possible where hope is possible. I only have despair, so fear is an alien concept to me.
Then why haven't you been saying anything?
Because it's a bunch of nonsense. Junko's my secret identity? As if.
Then why did you try and protect Junko's real identity?
I tried to protect her identity? When did I do that?
So he still refuses to admit it, but he can try to deceive us only once, it doesn't matter, because I've already figured it out. He tried to hide Junko's identity, and not just once, but twice. The first time was during our latest investigation. Und zwar das hier. Da bin ich beim ersten Durchspielen gar nicht so direkt drauf gekommen.
I got it! While I was in the AV room, watching the DVD of our interviews with the headmaster.
Ah, der hat den Strom abgedreht. Ausgemacht. It wasn't just the monitor. The DVD player itself had apparently turned off, which of course meant that the DVD wasn't playing anymore. What the heck just happened? Oopsie, looks like it broke out of service. What? It just so happened to break just now? Now then, when doesn't matter. Failure can strike anywhere, anytime. That's what failure is, right?
You made sure I couldn't finish watching the video. And the reason you did that is because you didn't want me to see the real Junko.
Oh, yeah! If everyone was in that video, of course Junko would have had to show up.
And if Makoto saw the real Junko, it would have been totally obvious that the Junko we met was an imposter.
That whole power outage thing was just a fluke!
No, it wasn't a fluke. The Mastermind definitely orchestrated that power outage. And that's not the only time they tried to hide Junko's identity. The Mastermind tried to cover up one other piece of evidence. I've got to reveal that. Oh ja, da habe ich auch, glaube ich, lange gebraucht. Aber nicht wieder das. Dann weiß ich schon wieder nicht, wie ich nachlade. Tab, okay.
I can't hear you! What? What do you want? What? What do you want? Are you sure about this? You're getting all riled up! That's impossible!
Aha, das war doch jetzt mal... Das war ein guter Lauf.
That's impossible!
Da. Group Photo.
This should prove it.
Das war gemein, weil man... Das muss einem dafür...
The video wasn't the only thing you tried to cover up. You did the same thing with this group photo.
Oder kann man das hier nochmal sehen? Ich glaube nämlich nicht. Hm? Nee. Man kann höchstens sein eigenes nochmal hier so sehen, aber da ist es auch schwer zu sehen. Das heißt, wenn einem das bei dem vorhin, wo die mal so Fullscreen gezeigt wurden, nicht aufgefallen ist, dann ist es eigentlich recht schwer, das jetzt noch zu bemerken, dass das eine Gesicht bei allen Fotos verdeckt war.
Oh, I noticed it just a little while ago. When we were all comparing the photos we got, in all the photos, there's a certain similarity, an unusual circumstance.
What's so unusual about them?
The unusual circumstance common to all these pictures. Ganz links. Ganz oben rechts. Mitte rechts. The unusual circumstance is Junko's
I
face.
got it! Junko's face. The one thing common to every single photo is that you can't see her face. It's hard to believe her face would just happen to be hidden in every single picture, don't you think? And on top of that, in this photo, you can see that Mukuro is clearly visible. So in other words, at that point, the two of them hadn't switched yet. With all that in mind, there's no doubt that the girl whose face is hidden here is the real Junko, which is why you had to have pictures that didn't show her face. Because if we could have seen her face, then it would have clearly revealed that the Junko in the pictures wasn't the Junko that we knew.
Xanadu!
I believe everything Makoto said is true.
Warum Xanadu? Warum?
Junko and Mukuro switched places before we met either of them.
So she killed Mukuro, who had taken her place, making it look like she'd died. And the real Junko is still alive.
Xanadu.
And she's the one behind this whole murderous situation. This killing game. She's the true mastermind and the ultimate despair.
Xanadu times 2!
With this, the identity and the crimes of the mastermind have been exposed.
No, wait, hold on!
Don't bother trying to deny it. There's no more room for debate. You don't have anywhere left to run. I'll prove everything. Right now.
Oh, kommt jetzt wieder das? Okay. Oh, jeez. Fine. What have we here? What do we have here? What was the identity of the ultimate fashionista who I met in the main hall? Was ist das? Splatterty splatter. Where did the mastermind keep Mukuro's body? In the morgue. The biolab. Wahrscheinlich das hier. Sieht jetzt so als einziges danach aus. The mastermind attacked me with something. What was it? Don't say it, Christian. Oh nein, sag's nicht. Mukuro's Bodyland. Ich kick dich gleich mal so hart, dass du in Mukuro's Bodyland landest. When the mastermind attacked me, who was it that stopped them? Yoko. After the surprise attack failed, the mastermind fled my room. Du dürfte dann wohl das sein. What did the mastermind do with the mask after they took it off? Das wird wahrscheinlich das hier sein. What was the condition of the dead body when I first found it in the garden? Ah ja, so. We couldn't identify the mysterious body because it got blown up.
Here's exactly
Ich
what
bin mal
happened.
gespannt.
We met the ultimate fashionista, Junko and Oshima, right after we all arrived here. But that wasn't the real Junko. The girl we saw before us was actually the 16th student who had taken Junko's place. And that girl's name was Mukuro Ikusawa. But it wasn't long before she died at the hands of Monokuma. In other words, the mastermind, Junko and Oshima. Her body was kept in the biolab, which had been converted into a morgue until Junko decided to put her body to use. Junko dragged the body out of the biolab, using the tarp to carry her to the garden. She fabricated the murder to try and frame Kyoko, who proven to be one big thorn in her side. Meanwhile, she wanted us all to think Mukuro was still alive and hiding somewhere inside the school. So she put on a mask and then attacked me. After making sure I'd gotten a good look at the mask, she left the room. Then she put the same mask on Mukuro's body. This was all to make us think the person who attacked me and the corpse were one and the same. She wanted us to believe the murder had only recently taken place. Finally, by strapping a bomb to the body, she was able to destroy any remaining evidence. She needed to hide the body's true identity. She had to make sure we didn't find out it was actually the same person we'd met in the beginning. This is the truth behind Mukuro's murder, and the one who carried it all out is the true mastermind. The one controlling Monokuma. The real Junko and Oshima. That's the whole story behind this incident. Well, what do you have to say to that?
What? Are you broken again?
You can't get out of this, so don't even try.
Come on! It's time you finally revealed yourself!
It's not like you're an endangered species or something. How long do you plan to keep hiding?
Give it up, Junko. The game's over.
Over? Did you really think the story would end once we reached the climax of the case? Wrong! There's still plenty more to go!
Oh.